Hi everyone, my name is Leigh-Anna and welcome to Phonological Awareness. It's all about sounds. In this presentation, we will talk about what phonological awareness is, what phonemic awareness is, how they differ and how they're alike, and then how we can help our students develop both of those skills. Well, first of all, phonological awareness is the ability to recognize and manipulate the spoken parts of sentences and words. And it is essential for children to develop these skills for reading and spelling success. Hearing the parts of sentences and words is foundational for decoding and spelling printed words in the future. So, when do we start? Really, the earlier, the better. Practicing with phonological awareness is important in the earliest stages of reading development, starting in early childhood, and it really should be continued throughout learning to read and write. So, let's talk about phonological awareness a little bit more. So, it is about distinguishing sounds. It's about noticing and hearing the sounds in our language. And while many children develop these phonological awareness skills naturally, some of these skills may need to be practiced or explicitly taught. So how do we start, or where do we start? You start big. So with phonological awareness, think about our language and the biggest parts of our language. So we speak in sentences. And can children recognize the individual words in these sentences and then the larger parts of words inside of the words? So can they march out the parts to sentences? Or can they clap the syllables in a word? Can they rhyme? Can they recognize alliteration? And then can they separate out the words in a sentence? Here are some examples. How many words are in these sentences? The dog is brown. Well, if you speak English, it's pretty easy for you. The dog is brown. That's 4 words. Okay, what about this sentence? My friend is funny. Sentence, my friend is happy. How many words in that sentence? Well, if you guessed 4, you were correct. But if you were thinking 5, you probably counted the word happy as 2 words because it's 2 syllables. So we would want to distinguish for our children whether or that it's 4 words and not 5 words. So it would be, my friend is happy. Then with syllables, we know about syllables. We know that there's 1 syllable in the word car. There's 2 syllables in the word rabbit, rabbit. And there are 3 syllables in the word fantastic, fantastic. The syllables are determined by a vowel sound within the word, or within the syllable. So that's why fantastic has 3 syllables, because vowels are open and continuous sounds. So for rhyming and alliteration, we have cat, bat. Is that rhyming or alliteration? You're right. If they have the correct ending or the matching ending sounds, they are rhyming. And so if they have the matching beginning sound, they are alliteration. Bunny and bat. So here's a few activities that you can do with your students to help them practice phonological awareness. First of all, if you're starting with children that are younger than age 3, you'll want to start with listening. And even children as young as 3 or even 4 may need to start here as well, just to help with the understanding of what the tasks are supposed to be. Also, you'll want to make sure that your child can attend to the task. But even just 1 or 2 of the steps is enough to at least get a little bit of practice in. So let's start with start and stop.
This game is called Start and Stop. You will play a sound or make a noise for your child, and she will raise her hand when it starts and put it down when it stops. This game will teach her how to listen. Explain to your child that you are going to make a noise, and then demonstrate that noise so she knows what to listen for. Keep it simple. Play part of a song, tap your fingers on the table, or hum a tune. Have the child face away from the source of the sound to be sure she's listening and not just watching. Tell the child to raise her hand while the noise is playing and lower her hand when it stops. Let's give it a try. I am going to play a clapping sound. Listen. Did you hear clapping?
Yes.
Good listening. This time, when you hear the clapping, raise your hand like this. What will you do when you hear the noise?
Raise my hand.
Yes, raise your hand. Listen. When the noise stops, we put our hand down. What did you do when the noise stopped?
Put my hand down.
Yes, you put your hand down. You're a good listener. This is fun. Let's hear some new sounds. It may take some time for your child to figure out the game, especially if she is a toddler. If she has difficulty understanding what to do, hold her hand and raise it along with your own the first few times. When your child finds this game easy, you can make it more challenging by playing the sounds softly, so she has to listen carefully. And that is how you play start and stop.
For the next activity, we'll look at first sound, last noun, or last sound. What comes first or last? This is an important skill because later on we will ask our students to distinguish between beginning and ending and even middle phonemes.
This game is called First Sound, Last Sound. We will play 2 sounds for your child, and he will have to name both sounds in order. Prepare your child by playing and naming all the sounds you'll be using. That's a dog barking. That's a frog. That sounds like a cow mooing, and so on through all the sounds. Then demonstrate the game for the child by playing 1 round. I just played 2 sounds. What was the first sound? The first sound was a horse. What was the last sound? The last sound was a cow. And now play the game with the child. I'm going to play 2 sounds for you. Listen. What was the first sound?
A donkey.
What was the last sound?
A frog.
If he has trouble identifying the order of the sounds, ask for just one of the sounds. Tell him in advance which sound you want him to listen for. I'm going to play 2 sounds for you. Listen for the first sound. What was the first sound? You can also prompt them with 2 answers. What was the first sound? A dog or a cat? Once the child has mastered the basic game, make it a bit harder by reversing the order and asking for the last sound, then asking for the first sound. I'm going to play 2 sounds for you. Listen. What was the last sound?
A lion.
What was the first sound?
A rooster.
And that's how you play first sound, last sound.
Next, we'll look at having students count the number of words in a sentence.
The name of this activity is word count. This activity is designed to help your child understand that sentences are made up of individual words. You will need some type of counters. blocks, paper squares, anything you have available. It's best if they are all the same size and color. On the website, we also provided a list of sample sentences you can use made up of one-syllable words. When you do this activity, be sure to speak clearly and pause between words. Explain to your child that each counter stands for one word. Then lead the child through the activity like this. I'm going to say a sentence 2 times. The first time I will say listen, and you will listen very carefully. Then I will say listen and count, and you will put down 1 counter for every word I say. Let's begin. Listen, dogs bark. Listen and count. Dogs bark. Your child should put down 2 counters. Now say it with me as you point to the counter for each word. You and the child should say together, dogs bark. Make sure the child is pointing to each word counter as you both say it. And that's how you play word count.
With the game word count, you'll want to start out easy with 2 words, and then increase the number of counters and the number of words in a sentence. You could also use the chips and have them laid out in front of you and vary the number of words in a sentence and have the children push the checkers or the markers forward as you say a word in order to count the number of words in the sentence. And now let's look at compound words. In both of these examples, we look at having the child distinguish between either the first part of the compound word or the last part of the compound word. We'll do this first with the pictures, and then we would ask you to also increase the difficulty and do it without the picture cues. So let's look at name the first part.
This game is Compound Words Part 1. Your child will hear a 2-syllable compound word like rainbow and identify the first syllable using picture cards as clues. Before you start the game, print out the picture cards like these and the word list from our website. The word list will show you which card to use for each round of this activity. For example, for the word doorknob, the list refers you to card number 12, which has a picture of a door. Before each round of the game, go through the images on the picture card with your child to make sure she knows the correct word for each picture. For example, let's look at these pictures. They show a ball, a bow, a hand, and a horse. Now you name each picture as I point to it.
Ball, bow, ham, horse.
Awesome. To start the game, say a compound word from the list and have the child repeat it. Then ask her to tell you only the first part of the word. Hold up the picture card to give her a clue. Let's try one. Listen. Horseshoe. Say horseshoe.
Horseshoe.
Now say horseshoe, but don't say shoe. Look at the picture. Is there a picture of horseshoe without shoe?
Hello?
Let's try again. Horseshoe. Horseshoe. What's the first word in horseshoe?
Horse.
That's right. And that's how we play Compound Words Part 1.
So there is an almost identical activity within the website that I'll show you at the end, that you do the same thing that you just did with the first part of the compound word, but you have the child identify the last part of the compound word. Now we'll look at syllables, and this activity will show you how to string multisyllabic words together and have the child do the same.
This activity is called stringing syllables together. Your child will hear a word that's divided into syllables and blend them together into a whole word. Print and cut apart the picture cards that are available on our website. Shuffle them and place them in a stack face down. Pick up a card, but don't show it to the child. Then say the word on the card slowly with the syllables drawn out but still slightly connected. For example, umbrella. Let's give it a try. I'm going to say a word very slowly. Listen carefully and count on your fingers how many syllables there are. Listen. Alligator. Again. Alligator. How many syllables did you count?
4.
4, that's right. Now she must put the drawn out syllables together into a word and say it fast. Guess what word I am saying? Listen. Alligator. Again. Alligator. Say it with me slowly. Get ready. Alligator. Now say the word fast. What's the word?
Alligator.
Say it faster.
Alligator.
Good job. And that's how you play stringing syllables together.
And then for another variation on the syllables, let's look at looking at a two-syllable word and having the child identify one part of that word, either the first syllable or the last syllable. In this example, we'll look at the first syllable.
This game is two-syllable words, part 1. Your child will hear a two-syllable word, like pencil, and identify the first syllable using picture cards as clues. Before you start, print out the picture cards and the word list from our website. The word list will show you which card to use for each round of this activity. For example, for the word fancy, the list refers you to card number 2, which has a picture of a fan. Before each round of the game, find the appropriate picture card. Go through the images on the card and name them to make sure your child knows the correct word for each picture. For example, let's look at these pictures. They show cake, key, fan, and fish. Now you name each picture as I point to it, okay?
Cake. Key. Fan. Fish.
Good job. To start the game, say a word from the list and have the child repeat it. Then ask her to tell you only the first part of the word. Hold up the picture card to give her a clue. Let's try one. I'm going to say a word, and you will tell me only the first part of the word I say. Listen. Fancy. Say fancy.
Fancy.
Now, say fancy, but don't say see. Look at the pictures. Is there a picture of fancy without see?
Key.
Let's try again. Listen. Fancy. Fancy. What's the first part of fancy?
Fan.
That's right. And that's how we play two-syllable words, part 1.
And moving on. So now let's talk about phonemic awareness. Phonemic awareness is similar to phonological awareness in that it's dealing with sounds. But where phonological awareness is dealing with all sounds in our language, phonemic awareness is looking at or listening for the smallest parts of the spoken language. And those are what we call phonemes. So it's the ability to recognize and manipulate the spoken parts of words. It's about what we are hearing. It's not about what we are seeing. So you really could do this with your eyes closed. If you think about it, English has 44 sounds, but we only have 26 letters that represent all of those sounds. So we combine them in different ways to make the 44 sounds. So as children are listening to a word and then drilling down even further to listen to the individual sounds in that word, this is a much more complex skill. So again, if you think about it, phonological awareness is the bigger bubble. It has all of the sounds and languages, but phonemic awareness goes down to the individual sounds in words. So we have a few activities that we're going to look at here. First of all, we'll be looking at beginning sounds. In these examples, they often use a sound card, is what they call it. They use a card that has the letter written on the card. The child identifies it through the sound, and then they use that as a cue. These activities can also be done and should also be done without the cue cards. So let's look at first things first.
This game is first things first. Your child will identify and practice listening to the beginning sound in one-syllable words, focusing on one sound at a time. You will also become familiar with the lowercase letter that goes with each beginning sound. All you need for this game are the sound cards and picture cards that can be found on our website. Just print them out and cut them apart. Before you start, use the schedule on the web page to decide which starting sound to focus on. Prop up that sound card so your child is looking directly at it. Then find the picture cards that go with that sound. To start the activity, go through each of these picture cards with your child, emphasizing the beginning sound in each word and pointing out the connection to the sound card, like this. This is what the sound looks like when we write it. What's the sound? That's right. Here's a picture that starts with nest. Say nest.
Nest.
Again, nest. You say it.
Nest.
What sound is at the beginning? Listen. Nest.
N.
That's the name of the letter. I need the sound. Good job. Go through the other picture cards for that starting sound. You will do this activity numerous times in order to familiarize the child with all the different consonant starting sounds and their corresponding letters. Introduce one new letter sound a day, according to the schedule on the web page. Repeat and reinforce these beginning sounds with your child whenever possible, using the song Peas Porridge Hot. Insert a trio of words that have the same starting sound. For example, okay, listen for the beginning sound, okay? Milk, mouse, mat. Milk, mouse, mat. What's the sound they start with? Milk, mouse, mat. What's the sound? All right, can you sing with me? Milk, mouse, mat. Milk, mouse, mat. Is the sound they start with. Milk, mouse, mat. Very good. Once the child understands how the song works, encourage him to sing the second part with you. And that's how we play first things first.
With this next activity, called Mark the Misfit, students are asked to distinguish between beginning sounds and find the one that doesn't have the same beginning sound.
This game is Mark the Misfit. Your child will look at a group of pictures and identify the one that begins with a different sound. Just print out and cut apart the picture strips and sound cards found on our website. You will also need a checker or game piece to use for marking the misfit picture. To start the game, select one of the picture strips and the sound card for the beginning sound of the target picture in the pink box. Prop up the sound card in front of the child. say the target word and point to the letter on the sound card. Here's an example. This picture is a mask. Mask starts with Listen. Mask starts with Say that.
Mask starts with
Repeat the target word and say the names of the other 4 pictures on the strip, like this. Look at the other pictures. Mail, mouse, dig, mug. Name each picture as I point to it. Get ready.
mail, mouse, dig, mug.
Which one sounds different at the beginning?
I don't know.
Listen. Mail, mouse, dig, mug. Which one sounds different at the beginning?
Dig,
Good job! Once the child has made his choice, he can put a checker or game piece on the picture with the misfit beginning sound. Continue playing for 15 minutes or until your child's attention fades. And that's how we play Mark the Misfit.
Those activities focused on the beginning sounds. Now the next 2 focus on the ending sounds in words.
This game is called Finish the Word. Your child will blend the first part of a spoken word together with the final sound, with and then without picture cards as visual clues. Print out the picture cards, sound cards, word index, and list of ending sounds from our website. Before you start, use the schedule on the web page to decide which ending sounds to focus on. Prop up those sound cards so your child is looking directly at them. Then find the picture cards that go with those sounds. Introduce the sounds and letters that you are covering in this session. Remember what sound each of these written sounds makes? Point to each one and tell me its sound.
g, or
Take the 6 picture cards with the first ending sound, for example, g, and quickly review the picture names of all 18 pictures on those cards, like this. Look at these pictures. They show flag, hose, and ball. Now you name each picture as I point to it.
flag, hose, ball.
Good. Now place the first picture card underneath or to the left of the sound cards, which should remain propped up in front of the child. Explain the game to your child like this. Now I'm going to put a card with 3 pictures next to the sound cards. Then I'll say a word in 2 parts. I'll start with the first part of the word, and then I'll say the last sound. You listen. Point to the sound card for the last sound and tell me the word. The word is the same as one of these pictures. Let's do one. Flag, flag, g, g, g. What's the word?
Flag,
Yes. Now point to the g card and say its sound.
g,
Good job. Be sure to enunciate the target words very clearly, emphasizing the ending sound. Now go through the other 5 picture cards for that ending sound. Then repeat the process with the picture cards for the 2 other ending sounds. After going through all the words for those 3 ending sounds with the picture cards, go through the same words without the picture cards. This makes the activity just a little bit harder for the child. Keep all 3 sound cards in front of your child. You will do this activity with your child several times in order to familiarize the child with hearing all the different consonant ending sounds. You should cover 3 sounds per lesson. There's a schedule on the webpage to help you. And that's how you play Finish the Word.
To 10 times more earwax. Latest studies show that traditional cotton swabs are not good for your ears. There is even a warning.
Play a variation.
So now we'll take a look at Make a Match.
This game is Make a Match. Your child will play a variation on the memory card game, matching picture cards to their ending sounds. Just print out and cut apart the picture cards and sound cards found on our website. Check the schedule to decide which ending sounds to cover in a session. Select the 4 ending sounds you will cover in the game. Have your child identify the 4 sound cards by saying each one's sound. Go through the corresponding picture cards with your child to be sure he knows the correct word for each picture. Then shuffle the picture cards and put them face down in a 4x4 grid. Take the 4 sound cards and put them face up in a row at the top of the grid. To start the game, tell your child to pick one of the sound cards, point to it, and say its sound. Then have him select a picture card, turn it over, and say the name of the picture. Here's an example. Okay, point to one of the sound cards. Which sound did you pick? Good. Now pick a picture card and turn it over. What is that a picture of?
Glove.
Does glove end with
No.
So let's turn the glove back over and try again. Pick a sound card. Okay, now turn over one of the picture cards.
Dress.
Does dress end with s?
Yes.
Good job. Put the dress card to the side and let's find another match. Continue the game until all the cards have been matched to their ending sounds. You will do this activity with your child several times to give him practice with all the ending sounds and their corresponding letters. There's a schedule on the webpage to help you. And that's how we play Make a Match.
And in this last activity, you will be playing a sound game with the students. This time, you'll be saying a word and you'll be asking the student to identify all the sounds that they hear in the word, like this. We're going to play a listening game. I'm going to say a word and I want you to tell me all the sounds you hear in the word. So if I say the word bat, you would say b-at. If I said the word in, you would say n. Now, you try a word. Tell me all the sounds you hear in the word moon. And hopefully the child would say ooh, n. Then you would go ahead and continue with the list of words. Tell me all the sounds you hear in the word gave. And the student would say g-ave. How about the sounds in the word chair? The sounds are ch, a, er. Tell me all the sounds in the word hiss. H, I, s. Tell me the sounds you hear in the word jam. J, a, m. And finally, tell me all the sounds you hear in the word fall. F, aw, ul. In this last activity, you're asking the child to identify all the sounds inside of the word. So, from easiest to hardest, here are the different phonological awareness skills. First, we recognize words, like counting words in a sentence. Then we move on to syllables, and that's where we count or clap the syllables. We identify the first, the last, the middle syllables. We can blend them, and we can manipulate them by either adding, subtracting, or deleting. Then there's also the next hardest skill, which is onset and rhyme. So this is, are we blending onsets and rhyme? Do these rhyme words? And are we generating rhymes or separating the onset and rhyme? And then the hardest of these skills is the phonemic awareness, saying individual sounds, identifying the sounds in words, either the first, the middle, or the last, or all three, blending them to form consonant, vowel, consonant words, segmenting them or manipulating them by adding them, deleting them, or substituting them. Now, the resources used to create this video are from readingrockets.org, colorincolorado.org for Spanish, citewords.com for the videos, and the Florida Center for Reading Research, which also has various activities for phonemic and phonological awareness. Also, Aries' article on phonemic awareness instruction helps children to learn to read. Thank you very much, and the secret word for this video is cow. In one of our videos that we watched, they identified the mooing sound of a cow.